All right, episode 188. That was really loud in my ears. Today we're going to talk about boss up or get bossed around, the power of ownership in real estate. We're going to get started right now. Figure it out. All right, episode 188. Today we're talking about boss up or get bossed around, the power of ownership in real estate. And look, you're probably going to hate this one because we're going to get really real with you.
Honesty is the best policy.
Yes, honesty is the best policy. And you know what honesty gets you? It gets you into tour studios because Jesse doesn't like dishonest people.
No.
And he's going to be able to help you make your content look really good on video. He's going to be able to chop it up. He's like... what's that chef on the guy that yells? Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay. I do.
Yeah.
I
Should
curse a
chop
lot.
it up?
He's the Gordon Ramsay of tour studios.
Yes.
And he's chopping everything up. Just
down.
go to tourstudios.com maybe, and then or go to Facebook.
We'll get there eventually.
Why don't we call our shot? Let's we're men of action. Why don't we just say by next week go to Tour Studios?
Okay. Yeah,
there'll
fair
be
enough.
something there.
We will have something.
Click
To be
on
honest,
that.
we all know you're not going to go there right now. Anyways.
No.
Plus,
Yeah.
you would go
'Cause
away
you're
from our
listening
show.
to this.
listening.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we're all friends here, no? So tourstudios.com or just hit with Jesse Showalter over at the Only Real Estate Podcast Worth Listening to Facebook page. And then join our Facebook group, the Only Real Estate Group Worth Being a Part of. As well as then you can see Mortgage Mike in action. Mortgage Mike of Texas.com.
In action.
Yeah, just that
Indeed.
stamp of approval. He's giving loans out. He did say applications are down right now, but the applications he's getting in, they're going under contract really fast. And that's why this show's going to be about you, realtors. We're talking to you.
Boss up or get
my
bossed
hand,
around.
too.
You got to boss up because he said that, look, this market actually is really good if you're willing to do the work.
Look at the numbers. They're there.
Yeah. And you know who does the work? Theron Smith.
Shit.
Oh,
Guessed
Dana
wrong.
Wynn.
Guessed wrong. I'm
Well,
sorry.
come on, guys.
Well,
Which one are we doing?
We
I
can
mean,
do Theron.
what about Theron Wynn?
Theron Wynn.
Win
with
with-
Armadillo
Win
Home
with
Management.
Theron. Yes. Armadillo
going so
Property
well.
Home Management. So if you're looking to get a landlord, or if you're at a landlord and you're looking to rent your properties out, then you need to get with Dana Wynn over at Homeward DFW. Just go to homewarddfw.com. And then you need to get a home warranty on there by Theron Smith Armadillo Warranty, armadillo.1/TOR, T-O-R-E.
School bus update.
Yo.
I don't have one. I
Come on,
was
Theron.
talking to him.
Give us an update.
We were chatting about his school bus, and I think it's going to be years. I think he's personally working on it piece by piece.
Oh, really?
It's going to be the Rolls Royce of school buses.
Well, but is that what it is? Is it still like a school bus, or is it like a RV that he's gonna live in too?
It's a good question. I think
Matty Aguirre's in London. You
That's
son
what
of
I
a
figured.
bitch.
I was trying
If
to
you
think
come
of-
back talking like Stifler's mom in that episodes of Friends, I swear to God,
My
I'm
flat
going
is twice the size of
to
this.
kick the crap out of you.
I don't think
exactly what you're
Theron.
talking about.
Yeah,
you too.
I don't think it's a school bus though. I think it's got to be an RV. I don't think you're allowed to just fix up a school bus and drive around and pick people up.
Well, you can't.
That's frowned
no. Could you
upon.
stop
think
it
that's legal.
towards large groups of kids and say, "Get into my bus"? No, but I think you
No.
can take a bus, paint
You'll
it
get
white,
arrested for that.
stop calling it a school bus, and then do whatever you want with it. For
I'm
sure.
gonna say probably the most horrible thing I've ever said on the show ever. So just don't judge me in advance because I'm calling myself out. Remember when you were a kid and you weren't like supposed to get into like unmarked vans and stuff, right? Like that was a thing. Like, don't
I'm
drive
not
or
doing
something.
that at 44
Yeah,
years old.
nobody should. You shouldn't do that ever. By the way, what I'm saying is like. I didn't know you could just buy school buses on the open market. If I was a kidnapper, what an opportunity I'm missing there. Why wouldn't I just buy one of those school buses?
Or a fire
I feel
truck.
like
It seems like a way easier way to pick up kids.
Dude, there's a
and
fire truck.
kidnap them.
I every night scroll through Facebook Marketplace just to see what's out there. You can buy fire trucks left and right.
Looking for cop cars and school buses and fire
It
trucks.
just shows up. Fire
The
trucks.
thing
just
about
show
the
up.
fire truck is that comes with a lot of responsibility. If you end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, they're going to expect you to do something.
Is that a duty? Is that a unspoken
Nick
duty
just
that
drives
you
away
have
from a
to,
fire.
Yeah.
Doesn't care at all.
Nick doesn't like honk the horn for kids or like stop to let them climb on the school bus or on the fire truck at all. He's just like, look, guys, I have an appointment at 3.
Yeah, he just turns on
No
the
time for
siren
this
so he
shit.
can get through traffic. He's
Yeah,
not
that's it.
actually trying to help.
If you have a fire truck and you show up to a fire, are you legally allowed to fight that fire with them?
Oh,
Man. If they give you a totally loaded out fire truck, I think that's on them.
But it's not giving you; you're buying it.
Can we start our
Right,
own
but, like,
fire militia?
Don't you have to have like a special wrench to even get access to the fire hydrant?
That's
like,
true.
I
They
mean,
don't just give
there-
those out. Have you ever seen those?
I'm sure you can buy that on Facebook
There
Marketplace.
are volunteer firefighters and fire departments. So
yeah.
I
Yeah.
guarantee, they're volunteers, but they also go through some kind of training that makes them not us.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, they don't just sign a waiver.
It's like, oh yeah, I can
They're like,
spray
you're free
water
Thursday.
on fire and shit.
We got a gap in
That's
our
a big fire
graveyard
day
shit.
for us.
Well, guys, while we're having fun on this, and because you're going to hate us on this next part, is
That's
that this show is Boss Up or Get Bossed around the power of ownership in real estate. And the reason why we are wanting to talk about this right now is that this is the if we can go back, there's 2020. I want to go back to 2020 real quick, right? It's when Brian was making fun of COVID. And
That
did happen in one taco
it
video.
did.
That's sort of true.
I mean,
And-
he was ultimately right. So.
Yeah.
It's,
It was about 5 minutes
are
before
we
COVID
not
started.
all making fun of COVID now?
Oh, were we back doing that?
I don't know. I'm just
But
saying.
if we go back then and COVID started happening and everyone thought the market was just everything was going to stop, right? And ultimately we found at that time that the stock value of real estate agents went to an all-time high, at least in my opinion, right? We were setting up virtual tours, getting everything virtual, and really, helping satisfy the need of that market because it just went insane during that time. Then the market just went crazy. COVID went away, or whatever happened with that.
Texas just said, you know what, wear a mask inside people's
good.
houses and do what you're going to do.
Unless you're in Dallas
They
County.
suggested wearing.
Could you
a mask.
imagine though? Like I know you're going somewhere else, but man, could you imagine being in some of the states where like I have some clients right now shopping coming in from Portland, right?
Yeah.
Like and dude, they like just lifted COVID stuff in Portland.
Yeah.
Like there are some places where it would have been impossible. Like forget all the controversy around it. It would just be impossible to do your job.
Yeah.
Right. Like we would have never been able to sell real estate if we weren't in a state that kind
Remember
of
like the 3 days that we couldn't go to Dallas County? We thought that the world was over. Like,
I mean, you would get like arrested and give a ticket.
Can you imagine being that cop?
Kind of great.
I was at a pool the other day, a public pool with a bunch of friends playing volleyball, and then the cop had to come tell us to turn on the speaker, and just I'm like 35 now, so I'm like I like to at least think I'm more emotionally mature, so I'm not the guy that's like fighting against the cop, like, fight the power, we're keeping the music high. Like I feel bad for the cop who's like having to walk into this party of like all these people and be like, guys, it's really not my choice. You have to turn it down or I gotta write you a ticket, and I just know I'm gonna get a bunch of shit from you guys right now. I don't want to be here either.
The question is, can you write the ticket and then that is like our penance for keeping the music up?
Yeah,
They
like
just make
if
a
I've already
decision.
got the ticket.
Yeah.
It's $135 to keep the music loud.
Yeah, that's just the
But then
price
they
to
keep
pay.
coming back and give you the ticket.
I
though.
think they'll
But-
keep doing it. You can't keep speeding.
So, to go back though, like the stock value for agents went skyrocketing up, and then ultimately, sellers were like, I don't need you. They went for sale by owner, and buyers started going to the for sale by owners, and really the value of agents at that time may have went down when during when we got used to COVID and the real estate market just went insane. Right now, we're at that opposite end where the market seems like it's just at a standstill. That Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde market, right? And ultimately, in my opinion, I was telling our team, and I was talking to Brian and Matt, you and I were talking about this yesterday. Is like ultimately, this is the best time to really build your business,
I completely agree.
right? Because when you really look at this, it's hard. It's harder than what it was over the last 3 years. There's lots of agents that are starting to play victim. Really choosing my words carefully here, right? Play victim and say, you know what, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. I'm going to go back and get a cushier, easier job with a salary, and I'm not cut out for this. And in reality, hold on, Brian. And in reality, if they just would have learned to treat this as a true business, that this is the best time to get into real estate. This is the best time to build their book of business.
It's funny because we were just able to say this for that little window at the end of 2020 also, right? Like there's always these there's always these little pockets. I feel like I've said this 4 times in my 10-year real estate career that now is probably a really great time to dive in, right? I would say when I got in was a really great time to dive in, 2011, 2012. Good time to like get in,
Absolutely.
right? Everything ramping up.
2008, actually 9 was a great time.
Might have been a good time. You still had to ride some shit out, right? Like you would have learned, like you did, you would have learned some really amazing stuff. Right, I came in, didn't have to learn anything. I was just like, "Oh, buy internet leads, sweet, let's roll." Right, like that worked out great for a little while. And then, but even then you had the little slowdown in 2017, where you had like that time in the fall where it felt like if I was going to get into real estate, this would be a great 6 months to kind of learn what was going on before the spring market hits, and then you start running again. And then as soon as COVID opened back up, it would have been an awesome time. Right,
Yeah.
and we saw agents doing really super well doing that, and then again now. And I think while none of them were the same, they all had like the same idea behind it of if you didn't know any better right now, you wouldn't be scared of this real estate market at all, right? Like if you just didn't know what real estate looked like and what it looked like for the last 2.5 years, you wouldn't be scared of this. You could say the same thing in June of 2020. If you didn't know what the real estate market looked like before that, you wouldn't be scared at all. In 2017, you could say the same thing. You didn't know how good it had been for 3 years. It was a good time to get in because you didn't know. Same thing with 2012. I didn't know how shitty it was for you. So for me, 2012 was awesome. Yeah. Right? And coming to sell 7 houses. And I think that's what you're looking for right now is like, if you didn't know what the last couple of years had been like, you would look at this real estate market and be like, it's pretty all right. Like, it's not the worst thing ever. I think the agents who are getting fucked by this market are the ones who expect it to be like it used to be.
Well, 100%. I mean, Brian, what did you say? Like, what was if you could just speak English, then
You can, well,
if you communicate with people,
I got corrected on that because some of our people speak different languages
Okay.
and are still successful. But that's the reality. We like
if you can communicate.
without getting on a tangent, right? I compare this. I was venting to you the other day about just this kind of entire topic, and I raised the point of like, dude, like go live in Burma for 2 weeks and then complain about how hard things are in any industry in this country right now at all, right? Like, all you really need is 2 things: to be able to speak to people and to type on computers. And if you do that enough, you'll be successful in real estate in any market environment. And to add on exactly what he said, right? Like, this is actually, not only is it the best time to get into this business, it's the best time to be in this business to have a long-term successful career. And what I mean by that is like, I think we may have gotten away from this a little bit with different platforms and stuff like that. But like, you remember like just like the inspirational meme culture on Facebook for like the longest time? Right?
Yeah.
It was like a poster of some dude dunking on another guy and like believe in yourself. I have such mosquito bites.
I still see it on
bit up the other day.
Mondays.
Yeah.
I should still see it on Mondays.
It's just like it's so easy to post a meme about resilience or perseverance or just going through the hard times or whatever. And then when they actually show up at your front door, like 99% of us are like, can't handle the heat or whatever, however you want to describe that, right?
Yeah.
It feels like the world is falling apart. Yeah. And why it's such an amazing time to be in this business is because this is the stuff that will challenge you, that whether or not you even quote unquote pass the test. I said this to somebody yesterday. This is exactly like the NCAA tournament. And I'll just be very candid right now, right? The motto of every team in the NCAA tournament, do you know what it is? And there's a documentary created, 30 for 30. You know what it's called? Survive and advance, right? Because you don't actually need to blow teams out by 40 points to get to the next round. You need to survive and advance. And in times like this in the business where the market feels crazy and it's a roller coaster and there's chaos or whatever, what you actually need to do is persevere, to show up every single day ready to just kick as much ass as you're capable of, not give up, live to see the next day. And you know what that's doing? That is building the skill set that will help you build an empire on the other side. But when you get into this business, when times are relatively easy, and then these things happen, it hits you so hard in the face that you second guess every decision you've ever made in your entire fucking life.
That is the craziest thing about this market now, though, is the market before it. I will tell you, I hated the last 2.5 years. These have been the most difficult 2.5 years of my home selling
it made no sense.
real estate career. It made no sense. And I think, and I'll speak more to agents who are maybe a little bit more established, because I think anytime you're new, there's going to be a struggle to figure out what's going on, right? So new agents who listen to this, I love you. There's probably other episodes for you that will make a little bit more sense. But for the agents who have been,
1.
yeah, maybe they'll go back there. Maybe they'll go back that far. We might not have been that good then. But like the reality is, like, right now, for those seasoned agents, if you were able to make it, if you were licensed in 2020, right, and you've been able to make it through that, and if you found it hard to find listings, and you found it hard to find your buyers getting under contract, and your only complaint now is that your listings are sitting a little bit longer and buyers are pushing back at you against interest rates, I would say, dude, applaud that. That is a much easier thing to overcome and get to, to stick with the theme of the show, kind of get back in the ring a little bit and start fighting like you used to fight. I've realized I was such... I'll throw this out. Brian used to say about me all the time that he didn't know anybody else who worked harder than me in real estate. That became very fucking untrue from about the time COVID hit till about a month ago, if I'm being super honest, right? From my real estate sales position, I did not work that hard. I got discouraged by the market. I got beat down by like the fact that I wasn't the best listing agent on the planet, and that was a super hard time to take listings, right? Then you roll into a market where like your buyers are getting their asses kicked. So the thing that you're really good at, advising buyers, being close to people, you're having to make difficult decisions and tell them to do super hard things and make
they're
super
emotional
risky decisions.
about it.
And they're emotional about it, right? For me, this market is swung back in my direction. I love a market where homes sit for 60 to 75 days and buyers have opportunity and sellers have to be realistic because in alignment with what I can talk to people about at a high level.
Well, you're reverting, or we're going back into what a new normal market's going to be, right? Right now we're swinging. It's a pendulum swinging back and forth, and it's really chaotic, right? And what we'll start to see is that we'll start to balance out on one side or the other, where like here, and Brian and I talked about this yesterday of the inventory levels just here in the DFW area is that, I on our team meeting I had I was just the first of the month at our sales meeting, we go over all the inventory reports in all the areas that we're in. And, I'm going over it and I love talking about it, but towards the end there, I got really passionate and really, to me, it felt aggressive towards my agents because I'm like, guys, you're missing a major opportunity. If you don't understand how these trends, how this data can work, where it's like you have buyers right now. What's the main objection of a buyer?
Interest rates.
Interest rates?
Yeah.
Second main objection is I'm going to wait for the market to crash.
Yeah, just uncertainty.
Right? Guess what? Prices in Dallas-Fort Worth since January have gone up.
Yeah.
Right? If you were going to time the market, you really should have bought back. You should have started your home buying process in September, and you wouldn't have been able to time it because you're using June and July,
You're using
May,
30
June,
to
July
60 day old
data.
information.
Yes. So you're not going to be able to time the market. And I said, agents, you have to be able to effectively communicate that with your clients.
But that involves not being a fucking door opener and doing everything they tell you to do. And that is the reality of what most people are doing on the buy side, right? That is the truth of that.
But let's be real, is that no one wants to go do the extra work. Brian, with the team, and Matt, you can speak to this. How many times did Brian send out the stats? Brian, out of anybody, knows the stats probably better than anybody.
It was one of the things that we talk about the most. And then on top of it, you also have DeBacker coming on every Monday. He's on your squad every Tuesday or whatever, right? Like you're having the information like beamed into your fucking face hole.
So you like our two teams, the agents in our world had no excuse not to know the data.
Yeah.
And the problem is when
some of it's intelligence though too. I will admit there's some financial stuff, and we start talking about things. I'm like, I don't know how all that fits together in a conversation with somebody who might also be as clueless as I am about some of these just financial understandings.
How
right?
much of that comes with just repetition?
It's almost all reps,
Yes.
right? And you find what and I want you to get through this because so sorry, but you also find the parts that most people matter about. Like when you do this long enough, you realize most objections are the same. Most scripts lead to the same places, right? Like it's all the same conversation.
It's the same. Like sellers right now are saying like, they think the market, they're going to wait for a better market.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what market are you waiting on? We just exited the best. Rates aren't going to go back down to 3%. We hopefully will get into the 5s by next year. But, for sellers, maybe you're going to squeeze out a little extra. Maybe. But then you're going to be, more than likely, you're going to be purchasing. So then we're going to go back into that objection is like prices are too high. Yeah. And so it's showing them the data of saying, guess what? Home values have still gone up. Probably we need that to slow down some. Not probably. We do need that to slow down
it's
some.
not matching wage growth.
Yes. And so there will be something that gives, and eventually there will be some type of crash. Is it going to be massive? Absolutely not. Because I saw somebody, Albie Voss, I think, is that his name, out in Vegas?
Oh, yeah, out in Vegas.
Yeah, I saw him post, and I don't know where his source was, so, whether this is true or not, but he said the average homeowner is sitting on about 30% equity.
I believe that. I think we could look at people who bought in early 2019, or let's even go January of 2020, right before we got the announcement in the U.S., average home prices from January of 2020 have to be up 45% overall, right? And if they came down 20% and then went back up 10, we would be sitting around 40 to 35%. Like,
just based on the last few years of appreciation alone.
Yeah. We can look at
If
trends
you put
for almost
5%
everywhere.
down,
And look, Vegas is a super insane market, just like Frisco was and Austin was. There were some markets that went nuts during COVID. I'm not saying that, like, honestly, our boy Jim Crimplebine up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, he didn't experience the same thing we all experienced, right? And so, like, I understand, but if you're listening in DFW or any other major metropolitan area, your market probably experienced something close to this.
Yeah. So on the team meeting yesterday, I'm saying, guys, like, how do you think this correlates? Like, we have inventory levels right now actually going up. And so if you're a home seller, do you think that the more inventory that goes up, is that going to be good or bad for you as a home seller? To me, it's not great because that's more competition. More competition means that we're going to start to see hopefully more squeeze in pricing.
Right.
And if you're a home buyer right now and you're waiting for the crash, and you go show them the average list to sales price ratio, we're actually back up here in the Collin County area, back up to 99% original list to sales price, and if you go back to last year, it was 104.7 in June of 22. So
it's just tough to see a crash. It's easy to see a slowing of growth so wages can catch up to asset prices, but there's not a financing bubble or anything like that. So you just like. I understand what you're like. If you're saying like I'm waiting for the crash, like theoretically, what you're saying, it's just like you there's not a trigger point, right? And there could be a
when a
really
crash,
slow.
You know what a
growth
crash
period.
has to mean is that crash has to mean that we have a lot of people that are falling behind on their mortgage, that are going into foreclosure, and that we have a large loss of job or loss of income. And we start to see a lot of homeowners in financial, assistance of need, right? So, found that 3%
Is that right? So, the median home price, the median sales price of a home in the U.S. in 2020 was $391,900. At the end of 2022, now again, at the end of 2022, we had already been in the high interest rates for that started in May, right? It was $543,600.
Wait, say that one more time.
$392 to $544
since 2022.
That's
or 2020.
2020 home median sales price to 2022 median in 2-year span.
This is actually these two stats combine one another. So let's talk about pairing these together. So you just pulled up a stat that says on Investopedia. Adam data found that 3% of homes were considered seriously underwater in the first quarter, meaning that homeowners' combined estimated balance of loans were at least 25% more than the property's estimated market value, right? And then you're actually talking about appreciation over kind of the last few years.
Just trying to find a couple year span, yeah.
Yeah. So you can lock in massive appreciation, which is huge. And if you bought early enough on in that like stretch, you wouldn't be underwater. And then there's another variable that we don't talk about in that little data set about the people being underwater, which is fixed interest rates at an incredibly low level, right? And this is where data manipulation or like headline manipulation can make you really scared about a crash or things like that. Is like, actually, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, it'll take you too long to Google, the amount of homes that were facing foreclosure before the Great Recession, like 2006, like late 2005 and stuff like that, it was actually a relatively small percentage. The mortgage-backed securities only needed to get to like a 6% failure rate before the whole thing became basically bankrupt, right? And we're talking about 3% of loans being seriously underwater. But those mortgage rates aren't adjusting. That was the trigger point for the Great Recession. Those people can still make their payments. So if they don't sell the asset,
because it was the ARMs, it was the adjustable rate mortgages, and then you trigger in the unemployment.
So you're talking about unrealized. You said this the other day, unrealized losses.
Yeah.
If you're not selling your house and you're living there because you just bought it, you're underwater for a little bit maybe, and then the market continues to move forward. It's a long-term investment.
Right. So if you're explaining this to a buyer right now, so you're looking at the buyer and you're looking at data points or the trends, especially in Netris. Like I'll say that our MLS does a great job with the trends. I would like it more up to date, not just monthly.
Yeah.
I'd like it daily or hourly or
right now
by the
things
minute.
change so fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
and but when you're looking at, all right, original sales list price to sales price being back to 99%, when January was 90, basically 6%.
96, I think.
It was
I only want to walk my shit back for a tiny moment because that was new home sales. 2020 was 329. 2022 was 437. So it's still 25 ish percent.
Yeah, it's a big 30%. Increase. It's a big increase.
Yeah, it's not 72%, which is what I fucking said. That was new home sales though.
Yeah,
new home sales have went through the roof.
Well, it's because construction costs were going
up. Of course, yeah.
Construction costs were going up, and then if you
look, but also I want to say though, that's also just owning your home for 2 years, guys. There's not a real estate agent on the market who would tell you to buy your personal home and then sell it 24 months later. And if you're doing that, stop. You're bad at your job.
You used to always say that, even pre-COVID, when we'd
stay in your house
conversations.
3-4 years.
I remember driving back from a ranch and fucking however far away that shit was.
So far,
right? And you were having a conversation with another couple that was unfortunately getting divorced. You're having to have a conversation with them, like a very frank one. Just be like, you haven't even been married for 2 years. You're just not making money.
You're just going to lose money on this
Just
situation.
How bad do you want to leave your husband?
That's what it comes down to. What's the monetary
apparently it was enough for them to sell
because they for sure did.
But this is where, all right, boss up or get bossed around, and this is where agents who are exiting the industry or are making excuses why it's not working on a team, it's not working here, it's not working at this brokerage. It's all the excuses. It's all the same, right? Whether you're on a team, whether you're at a brokerage and you're looking at everything else, and I'm like, the magic pill is you consuming the right information and then understanding it and actually implementing that in your business. It's taking and understanding this data, which you can go back and listen to probably every 10, 15 episodes. We're probably talking about this.
Yeah.
And how to then go use it. Like inventory levels go up. What does that mean? That means that you're going to have, as a seller, more competition. Eventually, you're going to get price constraints. So eventually, it is going to squeeze out the drastic increase in pricing. Then your seller's going to be like, I'm going to wait for a better market because I don't see the values going up. Well, if you're a home seller, you should probably just take advantage of it now.
Yep.
Because right now the trend line is going upwards on inventory levels. And we had the debt ceiling crisis that was causing the 7% interest rates, and buyers were not wanting to buy because they're looking at the 7%. But if you're an agent, you're saying every buyer I talk to is like, this is perfect timing. You have time. If you're looking at timing, I don't say this often, which almost at every call I do, because you've timed the market perfectly. Because I just did a buyer call 2 days ago. I said, guys, you timed this perfectly. I said, rates are 7%. So why is that perfect for you? Because right now we're able to go negotiate with sellers more aggressively, and then we can buy your rate down. I have some clients moving from New York. They put a townhouse under contract. It was listed at $430. We went in real aggressive, real aggressive. We offered
$150.
We went $400 with $15,000 in closing costs, so net offer of $385. Remember, we're listed at $430. Yeah. Seller counter's back at $424 with $10,000 in closing costs, and it went into, I'm going to use air quotes, of multiple offers, which I don't really 100%
Well, they're getting slick with that shit lately, because I just hit one of those this weekend. It was like, you've been on the market 117 days. I called you to ask about the status of your property. Call back 3 hours later, and there's another one coming in. Yeah. Then when we wrote our offer, there was just slightly above list just to kind of see. I got a phone call back in 10 minutes that says, you're good. We'll take your offer.
Well,
I was like, no shit,
you want to know? So I asked the agent. So again, this is boss up or get bossed around. This is taking ownership, right? So you need to take ownership of your business. So I was like, all right, I didn't want to lose this deal. These are VIP clients.
Yep.
So I called the agent. I said, look, just let me ask. You got multiple offers. You've been on 106 days. I said, what's it going to take to get this under contract? And the agent wrote back, is like, the agent responded is like, the original counter offer. And I'm like, so the counter offer will take it, which is still $15,000, $16,000 under your ask price, which tells me that multiple offers you probably don't have. My response as a listing agent, by the way, as close to the list, if not over list as possible.
Because how is that going to hurt you? And this is what getting like when we're defining what getting bossed around looks like. A lot of people maybe hear this like, oh, I'm not going to join a team and have somebody else tell me what to do in my business. This is what getting bossed around looks like. I'll give you 3 examples, right? Your buyer determining whether or not the inspection report looks good or not, right? Your seller determining their listing price. You driving around showing homes to somebody who has no clue what they really want and keeps changing the target on you. If you're doing any of those things, you are getting bossed around. Like don't try and convince yourself that you're doing something different.
Sure.
That is exactly what getting bossed around looks like in your fucking
videos,
business.
Matt. That remember you and Brian? What's that one that y'all did? Who came up with this, by the way? Like the turning back the clocks?
Bro, we had some stellar ideas back in the day, man.
Who came up with that, by the way?
It may have been. I almost might want to give it to Kelly, Here's
I
what
think my
Brian and I
sister
hated
came
the
up with
idea
it. Yeah.
of the shit that real estate agents send out, and we focused on the turn back the clocks and the recipe things, and we ran with both of those ideas hard.
The recipe one where it was the holiday recipe, and you just put
holiday
all the
pie.
Holiday
and I
pie.
took that bite at the beginning of the video was a real bite of the original pie.
Yeah, dude,
It's awful.
It was gross.
But it's like you're right. You should do a video about getting bossed around, and also being taking ownership in your business and not playing victim, right? Where it's like is you got to do the work every day. You have to do the work. To sit here and say, if you're on a team, this isn't working because this is the team. I had someone leave yesterday. They're like, just the team dropped the ball, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, the team didn't. You didn't plug into the systems. You didn't want to learn how to make this to be the best part of you so that you can put yourself and your clients, because at the end of the day, it's about the clients, yes or no?
Yes.
No,
Yep,
100%.
100%. And you didn't want to put your clients in the best position to win. You want to do it your way because you think it's the best, even though there's a better way that's been proven for almost 20 freaking years.
I want to go back to
2019.
20.
Yeah.
No. I kind of do.
I kind of do.
You're 100%
Late
right.
2019 in my particular situation.
Go back to something that Kelderman said earlier around like this is the best time to actually get in the business, right? And like there's been several chapters sort of like this, right? Where it's like getting in 2012 or 7 or 8 or whatever, because every chapter sort of has its own challenges that if you lean into sort of prepare you for the future, right? Honestly, getting in the market in 2021 might have been the worst time to get into real estate.
I was gonna say, would you want to get in between that COVID 2020 to 21, and business was so easy, even though it's exhausting. It was so easy that you didn't learn, like you didn't truly learn the fundamentals of this business, right? And most of the ones that are leaving the industry right now, right? If I really look at it, and I showed Brian, I was talking to Brian about this earlier, like, my revenue share at EXP, it ballooned up to almost 430 agents, and it's down. We've lost 100 agents.
Yeah.
My revenue share check has not gone down.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
The agents who aren't producing are the ones that left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? That's who we're shedding from this industry right now.
That's the truth.
And the ones that maybe do 1 to 2 to 3 deals a year. And they got into this
1 to 2, 3 deals a year and aren't trying to do something different.
Well, they hear it, but they don't want to implement it.
Yeah,
Why?
correct.
Because they're afraid of rejection.
That's number one.
They are afraid to put themselves out there because ultimately, as much as I never believed this, the longer I've been in this, I'm like, that's true. They're so afraid of success. They're afraid of it working so well that they're going to be consumed, or they're going to be so busy they don't know what to do. Right?
That's called ADHD.
I think so. You want to know what
I mean, maybe.
Not really, but
are
I
we
mean,
gonna
like,
adhere to the title of the show and just talk honestly about it? You know what it is?
Let's hear it, Brian.
I mean, just if you have a different door to open, there's only a certain tolerance you're going to handle before you open that door. It's people's willingness to fight. And that's what I was saying is going back to 2020, I have a very vivid memory. I went over to your flashlight's on. I went over to
it's been on for like 10 minutes.
yeah, sorry about that.
Thanks for telling me. Until now.
You were on a roll. I didn't want to. Went over to Matt's apartment at the time. This was like March 20th.
The day.
I'm pretty sure it was like the
It's
day.
like the day.
And the only reason we went over because we couldn't go to the office.
Shut it
This
down.
office was closed. We had we just moved into Nick's old office at the other building, and they closed the whole building. And we went over to Matt's apartment. We didn't have anywhere to go, and that was like the day of the utmost uncertainty. It was the day, if you remember, that interest rates spiked like 5% in one day.
They were moving all over the place
Yeah.
for like 2 weeks.
And we talked to one of our preferred lenders at the time, and I vividly remember like this part of the conversation being like, we're pretty sure it's not going to be as bad as 2008, but we're trying to prepare for like whatever, right? Like nobody knew what was going to happen. Everybody was just sure it was going to be really bad back then. Before it actually really got good, we just knew it was going to be really, really, really bad. And not only were we facing like some sort of like really difficult economic challenge in the market, right? We didn't really know what the world looked like. Like, was this actually a really bad thing that was going to, like, I don't know, kill all of us? Or was this just a thing that was going to affect our business or whatever? And so there's, like, a lot to consider that day. And I remember sitting on the couch with Matt and Lady and talking through it, talking about all of our options while Office reruns ran in the background.
I was gonna say Call of Duty was probably about to fire up.
We hadn't got into that
bought it
yet.
yet.
He didn't have his
About to buy our
headset.
Xbox.
Yeah.
And I so clearly remember the discussion and the lack of focus on anything other than how do we get through this rather than what else do we do?
Right.
If that makes sense. Matt's said forever that he'll always be the last one on the island. And what I think that is so lost on a lot of people right now is that this is the best time to be in this business if this is actually your business and you're committed to it. And what I mean by that is if you're willing to actually show up and fight every single day, regardless of what's happening around you. Because even the people at this table, and this is why I love this show so much, and I might love it despite everything more than ever right now, is because in this room right now, I know that we have 4 people that fight every single day, no matter what happens around them. It doesn't mean we don't bitch and moan, by the way, because we all do.
Like,
It does mean that no matter what has happened in any of our lives or businesses,
Tiger Woods got in trouble for.
you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that we don't face maybe even more like real struggles, more even grave struggles than an individual agent just getting into the business. We've just never given ourselves any other option. Since the day that we signed that little paper that said that this is what we were doing, we've decided that we're going to fight.
You know what Albie calls this? Albie Stasek, who is a investor in our Deep Blue project.
Yeah.
He calls it burning the boats. We need to have Albie on to talk
I
about.
haven't found a tattoo artist to do a good burning the boats thing on my side yet, but you can ask my wife. That's the next piece I want to get.
You need we need to have Albie on because he actually talks about, is it Cortez or sailing?
There was the Cortez is the most like prominent example.
Yeah, he talks about that one and uses that story about, I guess they were up against an army that was maybe bigger, and he's using it in reference to how you should treat your business, because a lot of people get into this right as they're building their business. They're actually only 1 foot in.
Yeah,
probably not even a full foot. Right, they're probably a toe line in, and everything else is out. And they still have their safety nets.
and that's, I think, exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that when you've got 1 foot in, you can allow a lot of things to get into your mind and your head, and you can avoid a lot of shit.
It's the hokey pokey of real estate.
You can protect your own little fragile ego around why the world is happening around you and all this type of stuff. Do you know what happens when you're actually force yourself and commit to something no matter what? It takes a lot of self-realization when things go up and down and you're forced with different challenges and things like that. When you've committed to fighting and giving yourself no other option, it forces you to actually fight.
I think, look,
and that's what the people in this room do.
100%.
And mostly with each other, by the way.
Always.
oh yeah,
Right?
Look, and I think ultimately it builds. My mom always says it builds character, right? And I hate it. Like going through the shit is like, this builds character. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Builds character. And every single one of us, right now, before, in the future, we're all going to go through things in business and in life that ultimately is not. Hopefully doesn't kill us. I mean, shit.
No, because it goes back to whatever episode we talked about where it's like,
well, Matt's going to be the last one on the island.
it can't do that. I'm the oldest one here and probably have the worst habits, so I doubt that's going to happen.
What if Brian's the first one to go,
I
and he's like, we have to say at his eulogy that it's you shouldn't follow his advice about just eat very little or whatever he talks about. Eat more
Just
plants.
fade away.
Yeah, eat more plants.
Yeah, we would probably start with that and be like, no, that was wrong, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm currently crushing Sour Patch Kids.
I think what I'm trying to say is we've actually been through the 2020, through all this stuff. Well, actually, this show is kind of a staple of what it means to show up and commit every day, right? And we've done that through all market environments. And in our businesses, we've dealt with a lot. The fact that the four of us are even sitting right here actually means a lot about how we fight.
yeah.
And like I said, even with each other.
Yeah.
But these times force you to be stronger, and they force you to have humility because you've given yourself no other option than to be successful. And so we're going to fight. And we're going to fight. And I'm sorry that we're fighting.
And it sucks. And it gives you an opportunity to practice the difficult shit, right? Like that is the hardest thing about difficult shit, right? Is you don't actually get to like practice it until it shows up. There are certain things in life that we're not allowed to kind of like trial run. And we talk about real estate agents with it in the form of expired listings and shit, right? Like, oh, you got to get on the phone to actually call them. Life also presents you with opportunities to tell your kid the dog's dead, to make a phone call of like, hey, this isn't working anymore. To even to the point where like Victoria and I were laying in bed last night and I was pissed at Luke and mad at her for not making my life easier. I let her get mad at me and go lay all the way on the couch for 20 minutes before I went out there and was like, you can come lay back down. And then she came and laid back down. And then I still took 10 more minutes to be like, I'm sorry, right? And the whole time in my head, I'm going, Kelderman, do you want this to look like everything else? Yeah. Do you want this to be every other relationship? Do you want this to be every other situation? No, you don't. So suck your fucking shit up. Go over there, say something, right? And whatever that something is that moving target changes a lot. But we don't have a lot of opportunity in our lives to practice really difficult stuff. And then really hard shit happens, and then you have to make the choice. And if you haven't done something in the interim, you're probably going to default back to your whoever you were, which for me, it's defensiveness, it's unfairness, it's anger, right? It's that type of shit. And so for me, it's like my life right now is just a giant opportunity to put shit into action that I've been kind of telling other people they need to put into action for a while. And
well, there's not a fucking roadmap.
There's no roadmap to hard shit for sure. There's a roadmap to success. You and I have talked about it. That same trip all the way out to Maybank or where the fuck that was. I got
further out than that. I'm sure
it was way further than that. But
Maybank's where the lake is.
That was. And keep in mind, folks, I'm 40 at the point this happens, and I'm like, Brian, why don't books say things Matt want them to, right? Like, and like, this isn't like.
Why
this
isn't there
like
more pictures in this book?
Like, no shit. And so like that. Those types of things there are roadmaps for, right? We may choose to ignore them. Doing things that suck and that you're unsure of and that you don't know how they're going to end, there's no way to trial and error that shit. You are walking into it and you're figuring out whether or not it works, and sometimes it don't, right? Like, and sometimes it does, and other times it's fine, and like fucking whatever. But like that's what real estate agents, entrepreneurs, and more importantly, we have not done a mental episode for a long time. This isn't even entrepreneurship, dude. This goes back to it's gonna be fine. Yeah. Well, and Bill Burr says this, even if it's not, wouldn't you rather believe it's gonna be fine until it fucking falls apart and then you just act surprised, right? Wouldn't you rather just do it that way?
Well, if you remember Alan Stein Jr., right?
Yes. He's an awesome guy, by the way.
Dude, he's bad. Like
YouTube.
One of the most
clips
clipped guests we've had in a while.
Yeah.
By the way.
Well, that's because Jesse with Tor Studios.
That is.
That's all Jesse with Tor Studios. If you want to be the second most clipped guy, just get with Jesse at Tor Studios because Alan Stein's he's the man. And he used that. That was, I think, at the end of our show that he talked about everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right? And no matter what you're going through, as long, I'm trying to remember what he said because it was actually really, really good. We probably just need Jesse to throw that clip up. But
there's a clip out there for it.
Yeah.
We need to get Jesse like one of those sports radio hot boards where he's just got the button for
Seriously.
everything.
Yeah.
It's got 1,000 buttons.
Yeah. Just all the drops and everything.
Yeah. Do you think you're as good as Groobs?
No, 1,000%
that's a
not.
career.
If we could get Groobs in here, if you don't know that, as he used to be with the Ticket, now he's with
is he the Freak?
The Freak.
Yeah, the Freak.
71,
97.1 The Freak. So, if there's probably Rachel Tex Carter probably knows Groobs.
Yeah, she used to do that stuff, right?
I don't know.
She's
She
like
always
a big call-in.
Yeah,
she's like a
it's
big
big
call-in.
call-in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her like name came from like I honestly think like what's Corby.
That's
I think,
what he used to call her?
I think Corby gave it to her. I think he gave her.
What?
I think he gave her the text, dude. I think he did.
So we have a
that's what she said.
connection, bro.
Yeah.
If we can get Corby in studio,
Oh my god,
that
we
would
blow
be
up locally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What are
let's-
we doing?
Would we want Corby
Sitting around
or,
talking to
or,
each other
or
like a bunch
Gordon
of idiots.
Keith?
Either
Oh,
one.
God.
I'd rather have Corby. He does
Gordon,
not
I can't
like
stand
Gordon.
Gordon.
Ooh.
Yeah. Can't stand
How?
He really
What if we
doesn't.
did
I heard
a
it is.
Matt and Gordon Keith?
Oh, he's
Oh.
so much smarter than me. He would fucking annihilate me. Here's
You
what I would
see,
like to do.
he
I would,
might be
if
one
we
of
could have
those
an
guys-
off-the-record conversation with
Yeah.
like no mics, I bet I could out-weird him. Right? Like I bet I could.
I don't know,
But
man.
I wouldn't say half the shit he says into a microphone. I can tell you that. That
There are
guy's a
some
madman.
dudes that do a really good job of appearing smart.
The ticket,
might be one of
the
them.
ticket has been around long enough where their fan base just accepts the fact that they're going to say a bunch of wild ass shit,
Wild,
and
yeah.
so like I think they're just gotten a little lucky. I wouldn't try doing a single thing. They're
I
doing
think we could
today.
do more shows than the ticket.
You think so?
We think so.
Just have this shit.
What were
running
Bob and Dan
24
at
hours
before
a
they
day?
rolled before they broke him up and rolled him into Jake and all those guys?
Oh, yeah,
Nobody even
so
cares about
Bob
this, by
and
the way. We're
Dan-
talking about like the most obscure sports talk show if you're
What
not
was
in
the Bob
Dallas.
and Dan show called Cheese and
It was-
Rice.
No, it was Bob and Dan show.
That was just about
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
It
Bob and
was,
Dan.
was it?
Yeah.
Somebody chime in if you listen to the ticket.
No.
Yeah, I'm not
Before
sure.
they broke Bob and Dan.
Regardless.
that's
Rachel
what we're-
knows. I'm sure.
Y'all sound so old.
Yeah,
Oh man.
I love the ticket.
I do
do
too.
too.
It's all I listen to.
Yeah,
Regardless,
irregardless.
it is time. I don't
For
know.
all intensive purposes.
All right, I am starting watching shows. Have you watched the show Fubar?
Oh, I
No,
haven't.
I
I
where's
haven't.
heard of it.
I have very limited like cloud streaming services
Yeah,
now. So
I'm
which
trying
one
to
is this one
minimize
on?
that.
Is this something
It's on
like
Netflix.
Paramount or something? Okay.
Oh, I don't have
I
Jesse's Netflix anymore.
I got
You're
Prime
right.
Video and Netflix.
Yeah, so Netflix. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
And he is a CIA spy, or he's a spy.
he's a
definitely-
75-year-old
He's
CIA
definitely not.
spy.
Yeah.
What are you talking
But he
about?
talks
Leatherface.
Yeah, he's a spy, but he talks about just some of the there's like the puddings in the oven or whatever, but it's just kind of the things like
Puddings in the oven?
Yeah.
Is it saying?
Did
to
you
watch
see, by the way, did you
Okay.
see Stallone's family is doing a reality TV show?
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
Oh.
That's
pretty
going to
good?
be a
It's
disaster.
actually pretty good.
Could you imagine going from being
I'm
a
in on
Rocky
it.
and Rambo to being 70 and like having your 25-year-old kids tell you they want
Would
to
you
be
rather-
on Paramount?
Probably a beating for him.
No, would you rather
It's
watch
gotta
that
be
or the
Daughters
Kardashians?
convinced him
I
to
would
do
rather
it.
watch Ozzy Osbourne trying to get to a fucking
God.
sentence before I want to watch the Stallone family.
Do you know the Osbournes have a different daughter that refused to be on the show?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she hated
smart
it.
though.
And she actually still lived in the house and stuff.
Yeah.
They just didn't film her.
The Mannings have an older kid.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that
He was.
bastard.
They said he was the
was the better football
They
player.
said he was the better football
he
player.
just, before he got hurt.
bad guy straight up.
He's,
That
he's been on.
feels-
He's been on some of the shows though recently.
He has.
Because everybody knows his story now. But for the
Yeah.
longest time,
I do feel
Cooper Manning.
I do feel like Cooper Manning
the
is
best
the
of all of
Uncle
them.
Rico of the family. Like, if I didn't blow up my knee in high school,
Why
because
is
they
it-
always say he was the best football player. I was like, really? Because you got 3 Super Bowl MVPs between you, but you were the best football player. That feels like a little.
Could you imagine doing that in real estate, where it's just like this agent who like was really good for like 8 months, but then went back to something else, be like, man, he had it all.
Exactly.
He could talk to expireds. He could talk to FSBOs. His database was dialed in.
He was the best of all of us.
But I didn't
Son of
throw
a
up my
bitch just
back and
couldn't-
I couldn't go on
Some bitch
appointments.
just couldn't hang with the pressure, man. Went out there on game day and
He could have been a contender.
stupid.
I
He
have-
wasn't the best. You know why? He has 0 Super Bowls and his brothers have like 4
That's
combined.
what I'm saying. A dude who's never played it down in the NFL.
the
You know how
worst
hard it
Manning.
is to even. Dude, David Carr was a first-round draft pick. We don't do a good job
Just
of
make
predicting
fun of
who's
him.
going to be a good pro.
Yeah.
at all. Cooper Manning was the best football player. Get out of my face.
The only real estate podcast we're listening to. Tour Studios, homewardfw.com.
Go full show. Give us a hypothetical, Jesse.
Yeah, we
I
do
think-
need to
I
have.
think we've done an entire show of hypotheticals.
I know. I feel like we have.
We haven't done a hypothetical because we were supposed to bring back billionaire idea.
Yeah, we
No,
were.
I had one earlier. It was very inappropriate when we were.
Yeah, we can't.
I love the shortcut on it.
We can't.
It's just the guitar riff.
I will tell you, part of this boss up or get bossed around type deal is, a word of advice is like when which is what we do on the show, especially towards the end. When it goes wheels off, this is kind of us unwinding and just having a good time. We had a group here when I was at DPR. We would do Tuesday happy hours. and we would go up the road, and it was a group of core agents, and it was $1.50 drinks.
Damn,
And
what?
It was
When
at that.
That's a pre-COVID drink special, baby.
This was back in
This is 2008.
This is 09.
It's 1,000%
010.
Hawkeye
Yeah.
vodka, by the way.
Those are like college numbers.
09, 010. And it was Tuesday, and we called it group therapy, and we were there bitching about the market. We were just talking about and venting about either difficult clients or what's going on or how our business is. I will tell you that there's agents still in this office that says, can we bring back Tuesday group therapy?
I bet.
Now more than ever.
Yes, right? And that was something that...
Pop it up there.
Thanks, Theron.
I think as an agent, if you're struggling with this, you just need to get a group together, and because everyone's going through the same thing,
Yeah.
and you think that you're on this island, and you're not. You're all going through the same shit. Whether you run a massive business and you're like, oh, but you sold 30 houses this month. Well, 30 houses still may have lost them money because you don't know what they're spending.
Sure.
Yeah.
You don't know their expenses. You're only looking at that they're making 100% profit, and we know that doesn't work. No. Right? So the people that are selling 1,000 homes a year are still going through. There's a top KW agent that I know right now that's losing a ton of money.
Yep.
And they've done massive layoffs. But you go look at their numbers, like, I would love to have those numbers. No, you don't.
Yeah.
They're losing money. They're going in they're digging out of their bank account every single month to keep it afloat.
And that's like advice for life, dude. Yeah. There's just no scenario where in a planet of 8 billion people, where maybe 100 billion people have lived over time, that you are that unique. And that's the best thing about it.
Billion.
Right?
Unique
117.
unique.
I was listening to Neil Tyson Degrassi, so I don't know, whatever, but like, you're not unique, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that rarity is like a nice deal. No, there is comfort in numbers when it comes to shit like this. Like, I would encourage everybody right now who knows they have the ability to be successful but isn't finding success to just take that thing that you're most concerned about and find some other people to talk to about it. I bet you'll find out that it's not as big of a hurdle.
No, that's why this show is a top 25
Yeah,
podcast.
Top
sure.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
Probably
top
25, but
Top 23.
yeah.
Which just means we were 23rd on a list of 23.
yeah.
We could have been first.
But it
They didn't-
wasn't
they
in
didn't rank it.
alphabetical
There's more than
order.
23 real estate podcasts, so I know that's not even true.
Oh, for sure.
I know 23 motherfuckers who have one.
Jesse,
Yep.
would you agree that Matt was sort of just saying that out of 117 billion people that have ever been born, you're not that important, so allow yourself to appreciate everything and expect nothing? And, man,
Yeah.
synergies are real.
The only real estate podcast worth listening to, mortgagemikeoftexas.com, Tor Studios, armadillo.1/Tor, T-O-R-E. And then homewardDFW.com.
All that, you know.
And a bag of chips.
Theron is there. Did you do that one?
I did.
Yeah.
Armadillo.1/Tor,
Okay, you went
T-O-R-E.
so fast.
Well, I
The
also,
Ron.
you know what? We probably just need to bring him. He needs to drive the bus up here.
Also,
does.
Park it out front.
Aston Martin. Go to Aston Martin.
Go to AstonMartin.com.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do that,
Park
like,
Place, Aston Martin.
I
gotta
want
find something,
Mercedes because I want the Mercedes 6x6.
Let's set our sights low.
Yeah.
We got Matty Aguirre in Europe right now. He needs to figure out what is going to increase our international exposure right now.
Ooh, for
Matt, share this shit out on your English Wi-Fi.
England stuff.
Well, can he?
We need more London connect.
He's got his YouTube channel. Can he film him watching our show and listening to it?
That's
He
just content for everybody,
Yeah,
dog.
Yes.
Maddie, for a
the wealth.
guy who, we're trying to coordinate to get on the show at some point, you've
Yeah.
done
you
very
ever ended up
little
in the
to
United
promote
States
it
of
on your badass YouTube channel.
Well, we keep trying to mail him an invitation to be here in person.
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
it just keeps getting sent back to
We
him.
never know
follow
where he
for
is.
follow.
Yes. Is it F for F?
Give me so many things.
All right. Till next time. We have a. I don't have a. I'm not here next time. I'm in New York.
We're out. Then we're out next week because I'm actually in Austin tomorrow.
I'm out the next week. So.
Well, no show next week, folks. Catch us the week after that. The day.
Where are you going,
before
Jesse?
Thursday.
I'm going to be in Florida.
He is gonna be in Florida.
Why do you should say that with excitement?
I will commit to booking a trip so that we
So that way all of us are
some
going.
sort of thing going on.
You know what we can do in 2 weeks? Can we talk about? Actually, this is a bit this is a Brian and Kelderman bit. I was talking to Ben
We have so
Baker
many,
real
we gotta
quick.
hear this.
We're going to keep this show going.
Yeah.
Fuck it. You know what? I'm never the one that keeps the show
Yeah, I
going.
know.
I'm here
He
for
always
it.
tries to shut it
need
down.
help.
Shut it down.
Give me another sparkling water.
Yeah.
Another Waterloo.
if PGA and Live can merge.
Oh, for sure.
Can KW and EXP merge?
Speaking of trending options,
Talk about conglomeration.
I think Saudi Arabia and the United States like each other more than Glenn Sanford and Gary Keller.
That is not too far off.
How do we make that?
Is that a thing?
How do we make that happen?
How do we make it happen?
If we could broker that deal, what do you think the commission would be?
$1.
$600.
How do you underwrite it?
I mean,
You do like a 1.5 multiplier over 36 months.
25% down. Owner finance.
Right?
That's a great
Just a
question.
finder's fee for bringing all the parties
That's
together.
a great question. I think we should figure that out. I think right now, Brian, you have Gary's number. I have Glenn. Let's
Yeah.
put him on.
Put
Call
him
him
on
right
a group
now.
text.
Oh, no. How about we
call
just
them right
have them both on the show at the same time without them knowing it?
Star 6-7 and like Nick be like, hey Gary, this is Glenn. I really wanted to, and then like then flip it around, right?
Have you ever seen
Be like,
two
"Hey, this is
people
Gary."
get kicked out of a brokerage?
Since we don't have a show next week, if we were going to push everybody back to an old show,
That's a great one.
what would you push them back to?
We're hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically, if there wasn't a show next week, because there won't be.
We couldn't figure it out.
I don't know.
Like out of all of them,
I'm going to say like the one with Michael Reese, I think was episode 6, was really good.
who was the British David guy that we had that was on that talked about mindset?
That guy was super.
That guy
good.
was
He
rad.
was on the TV when we were in the old studio.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
at the blue background.
That was that episode. We
should bring him back.
It was in the teens, I think.
It was definitely before episode 30.
You know who
Yeah.
introduced us to us? To the guy from Lion
Desk. That's exactly who introduced me. Dude, it was either the Lion Desk guy or the British guy who was named David. But if you go back to our
David is named as Lion Desk guy.
okay, then it's definitely gosh dang it.
What would
the
be
reason
the
I said
worst
this, I
episode
love that
not
episode.
to listen to?
Son of a bitch, I can't do that.
Why?
Because like
got rid of those.
the one of us three, I think we have episodes that with guests that are worse than anything we've done together. And I wouldn't want to call those guests out
Well, I'm
because
not
it was very
calling
kind of
those
them to
out.
bring
Yeah,
people
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I think there have probably been
The
some
time
of
we
us.
had Jesse on was
Probably
trash.
true.
You
Yeah, it
remember
was
the
terrible.
guy that had some software that it just? I'm trying to remember who it was.
Oh, gosh, yes, I remember this.
My worst episode was the Kyle
Don't
Draper
say his
solo
name,
flight.
but help
No.
me remember what you're talking about.
I don't remember this
Uh,
because we have most people on who had some software.
Yeah, that's a very.
I mean,
That's
Lion
right.
Desk is software, and I know
very
he's not
true.
talking
It wasn't
about
the Lion
David
Desk.
Anderson is Lion Desk guy.
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, we've had Lion Desk
Mr.
CEO on. That's
Anderson.
awesome.
Bro, I mean, actually, you know what? Tarek and Armando, both Armandos are awesome. If you're going to listen to Armandos, you should listen to Armando before and listen to him now.
Yeah.
That is a completely
Yeah.
different human being, by the
That
way.
was a growth process. For
It was.
sure, right?
But Tarek's was really energizing.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know how relative some of the investment advice he maybe gave now, because I imagine his investment strategy has changed a little bit.
We should see if we can get him back on.
But I think his
he's doing
overall...
the fun now, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We
Both
should,
of those guys were super solid.
we should see if we can get Tark back on and talk about
That'd be
more real estate investing funds.
How much money do we have in the podcast LLC? Let's fucking fly him out.
That goes back to that $6 Jesse was talking
It's exactly. That's about all it is.
Yeah, there's none of that. But I would say like it was that the worst one though. If I'm going to go back to what Kelderman asked me, the worst show.
Yeah.
Since he asked that question.
Yeah, I did.
It's that one guy that had the software that Brian loved.
Oh no, it was like
It's all
it
when
was
Nick
like
and I got in an argument.
it was like
Yes.
AI guy or
Yes.
like
This sounds like a show that I checked the fuck out of.
You-
I don't
Yes.
know.
Second
Yeah,
thought, I'm
it
not
was-
even sure that software was that good.
No, I remember it was.
Brian
it was
and I
like,
definitely
it was
got
a year
into it
ago,
on
or
air.
2 years
Totally
ago.
got into it after the show too.
What tends to happen with like the systematic stuff is like Brian just sees like some functional use for it, and then he's like, oh my god, I could apply it all these other ways, right? Like he's not really thinking about the practical use of that thing. He's like, look at all those ways that I could implement this. He's like, that'd be really awesome. And then like 6 months later, like that thing failed, and he's like, yeah, that wouldn't have.
Or
worked.
like
Yeah,
making it a
fucking
good conversation on the air, like at a more like relatable.
Yeah, we
level.
went
You should
down-
go back and listen to all 188 and just see which episodes you can pattern break which one of us check out on, because all of us have content topics where before the show I'll look at them and be like, guys, I'm just gonna tell you right now, like I'm probably gonna say about 3 things. There's an episode I know for a fact there's an episode where I speak one time, and the rest of the episode I'm just over here on my fucking phone because it was so above my head. I was completely checked out. I might be on the thumbnail for that episode too. It's just so stupid.
I would
him
love
on
to
his
do.
phone.
We should almost do a behind the scenes show just to show behind, because
Yeah.
half the time we are
Jesse just has this camera
like a
up.
VH, yeah.
because then like half
VH1
the
behind
time
the
we're
music.
either on our phone like, and we're looking at it just to make sure stats are right. We're not always reading the right stuff, or you get lost in it because you have to respond to text messages.
That's what it normally is like that happens all the time when we have a guest on, because the guests can only see what's on the screen. So when they're on, they see themselves, so they don't see us. And I have seen so many times, and I do it all the time when a guest is talking,
episode 151,
and I'm trying to research what they're talking about.
Yes,
all three of us will be on our phones at one point.
Episode 151, Brian. Kevin Kendrick.
Kevin Kendrick.
He's out of Orlando.
Oh, that was a good one though.
He built his whole thing out of farming.
That's
was
right.
amazing.
So hard to replicate, though, right?
Yeah.
No.
Do
no,
you
not
see?
at all.
Hover over that again.
Is that the
really
software
quickly.
thing that you're talking
Matt's
about?
on his phone in the episode.
That might be the episode I'm talking about. Look, and then go back down. Like take the thing off of it. Take the thing off of it, dude. I'm in the thumbnail with the dude.
And you're in the.
I thought you talked in that one.
Episode 151.
I thought you talked-
No, he
might have,
did.
but
He
not-
did. That was a good one.
That
I
was a
like
great show. You
Kevin.
liked
Yeah,
that
he was
show.
great.
Yeah,
That
it
was
got me
over.
really. I do this thing though, and I think like I do like I get really amped about things I'm gonna do in my business that I know I'm not gonna do in my business. I'm like I'll be honest. I started like this like local community page for the town that I live in, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna like blow this thing up.
Yeah.
I got like 325 people, and I was like, I don't know what to do now. Like I'm posting a bunch in here. Nobody really gives a shit about anything I'm doing. Like somebody reached out and was like, hey, do you still
You
do
know
this?
what?
I was like, no, I
episode
don't do this.
101 was our look back at 100 episodes.
Episode 136 is where we started doing thumbnails. Apparently.
Exactly. Look at all this stuff below it.
I mean,
Look at the old studio.
that's where we did the live show, episode 101.
That was
If
fun.
you want to talk about Matt being more nervous than he has ever been in his life, I was terrified to do episode 100. Like, I was actively fighting against. Look at that time on that episode. It was 32 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, I could not
you
have
wanna
gotten
know,
out of that
that's
fast.
'cause-
He was the one that signed off.
That's because people started drinking a lot.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of people there. We had a
Yeah.
dude drive 7 hours,
Yeah.
9
Yeah,
hours
we
to
did.
be
Foster.
there.
Yeah.
Aaron Foster.
And it was such a disservice. I was terrified in that episode.
I mean, we've had some good
when we do
ones.
episode 200 in a couple of months, I will be way better.
Nick
I
Krim
promise.
was great. Justin Nelson with Sphere Rockets always
good.
He's always good.
Yeah.
If you go to the earlier shows, I like the earlier ones. Like
Have we had Wayne on once or twice? Just once?
When we were at the old studio.
Yeah.
we've had Chauncey Pham on twice.
She's been on a couple times.
right before COVID. It was
Well,
actually the
one
week.
of them
It was the
was-
last show.
it was the last show
no,
because
no.
I hugged her and she got
So,
so mad at me.
The times we had Chauncey on, it was 2 times. It was the week of COVID.
Yep.
The week before COVID. And then it was Ice Storm.
Yep. Ice
Yes.
Storm.
They were both, the second one was remote. She is always showing up during world events.
Yeah.
The thing I like about Chauncey Pham the best is you can be great friends with her and she will still just hot you with some opinion that you definitely don't want to hear.
Yeah.
That day when I hugged, like I gave her a hug. COVID was legit, so I don't know how we still got in the studio, but COVID was out
It was
at
the
that
last
point.
one ever.
And it was the last one in the studio. And like I gave her a hug and she looked at me, she's like, "Are you fucking crazy?" She's like, "Why are you touching me?" And I'm like, I just sat next, like my spittle was in the air that
Why
you were
don't you
breathing
just
in.
put a gun to my head?
I was like, okay. And then I didn't see anybody.
Of
for
course,
3 months.
every show that we have Mortgage Mike on is always the best show.
Always.
And,
Remember how
and
nervous that guy used to be in front of camera?
Oh,
Now he's
for
making
sure.
reels like
Yeah.
a freaking high school.
You know who
girl.
else never? Who big times us is Theron Smith with Armadillo.
does.
He doesn't come to the show.
No.
It's actually because I think the bus doesn't drive.
The bus doesn't.
It's not real.
He can't
know
get
who-
his angel wings and his fanny pack through the door.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know who bails on charity golf tournaments on Monday with Mortgage Mike?
Me?
Mortgage Mike.
Because you don't care about the kids.
No.
But he didn't even tell me it was charity.
It's always charity. Every golf tournament and every golf round is
I
charity.
don't even know who charity is.
Ooh,
I can bail on golf tournaments because I'm never the one golfing. I'm just the one in the golf cart with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
Trash golfer.
But I'm
Worst
gonna
golfer on the show.
be in New York.
I
Yeah.
have more fun.
Why are you in New York so much lately?
Yeah.
I am filming a
OnlyFans.
yes. Times
for
Square.
bears.
Times Square OnlyFans. Look, there's riches in the niches.
Nick's doing a side hustle where he's partnering with the guy that's like, how much do you make? Can I see your apartment on TikTok?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing.
What do you do for? Hey, sir. What do you do
That's,
for? a living?
that's Nick's partnering with that guy.
I'm an adult entertainer.
Yeah. I have this book coming out
Nice.
called The Six Figure Agent, and we're doing some film behind it to really help kind of.
You fancy son of a bitch.
Gotta go to the
I've written
studio in New
0
York.
books.
I will be a published author.
That's pretty rad, dude. That's pretty cool. Can I get a signed
super
copy?
cool.
Is it coming out in
Oh.
hardback?
Haas Pratt, give me 4 signed copies.
I How much did you pay for it?
Nothing.
Dang it, Haas.
He was
I
on Coffee with Closers. You were on Coffee with Closers. 0 signed copies from you.
I didn't have it.
Didn't
at
have
the
a
time.
book.
You know what? Did I get a coffee mug with that though?
Yeah, and you know
No.
what? Seriously has one too. Uses it all the time.
He could have signed one of
Can
those.
we release the Coffee with Closer videos?
I still 100%. I still have a whole case of unused mugs. I had a whole plan for that. Didn't really work.
I
out.
would love to see where that coffee. You were doing this shit before.
Before we were doing any of this
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like
Brian,
2015.
Brian was the first one doing video out of all three of us,
Yes,
easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he didn't publish it.
The Coffee with Closers
just
thing
good.
was, the Coffee with Closers, like, it's essentially was an interview style deal.
Yes.
Like, had you started publishing that and ran with it,
It's like the two
like,
ferns.
that would have been so. Between two ferns.
Kind of was.
Yeah.
It was.
I got mugs, dude. I got a whole case of them.
Can we do a
great.
retro Coffee with Closers
2
show?
weeks
don't-
from now, we'll all be
back.
drinking out of Coffee with Closers.
Yes.
Our sparkling waters.
Yes.
Yes.
Out of Coffee with Closers mugs.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. I think this show's gone long enough. And
Smallhorn said get over an hour.
she's
was-
she's lied to us every time.
Yeah.
Because every time we go it, Smallhorn, you know
Well,
what?
but we don't go
She's
live
just going
on
to tell us our
YouTube.
content sucks and we don't
It's
do anything
true.
with this.
But she said it's not about the content.
it's not.
We don't go
But
live on
she
YouTube.
she still puts her stuff. We don't go live on YouTube. She still puts her stuff out a day before.
Yeah.
She has articles.
You know what?
And 250,000 followers. Shout out Smallhorn.
She doesn't care about the followers.
I know.
It's about the views.
Do you think that she's so into tiny houses because her name is Smallhorn?
Oh.
Conspiracy.
Can
theory.
we have her do the show that we talked about doing?
I don't remember what that was. We'll go off
Tiny
camera. and talk-
houses.
No. I don't think that's gonna fly for her.
The views would be there.
The views would 1,000% be there.
Yes.
1,000%.
Don't know if they're the right
You may have to
views.
take a different route though with the rest of your career.
Matt Kelderman OnlyFans.
Nobody wants that.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group we're being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one.